Hi everyone, welcome to Romance Stories. Before watching the video, please give me a like and subscribe. Thank you very much. I entered a crematorium novel, a genre where the protagonist suffers, dies, and then the antagonist regret it forever. The system forced me to be a sacrificial lamb, working like a slave, giving selflessly, and finally dying just to make everyone else regret it for the rest of their lives. I asked, the ultimate goal is just to make them regret it, right? The system replied, correct. I said, well, that's easy then. On the first day of the transmigration, when a female lead tried to torment me, I beat her so badly she was crawling on the floor, making her regret ever being born into this world. The system was horrified. How could you do that? I asked. Tell me, is she regretting it or not? I transmigrated into a novel where the male lead is Julian, the real young master, who was switched at birth. He was kind, quiet, and slaved away for his family and fiancée, only to be loathed by everyone. The family favored the fake young master, Jasper, and the fiancée, Bianca, also loved the imposter while hating Julian. In the original plot, Julian develops terminal cancer. He hopes his family and Bianca will spend his last birthday with him. But on that day, Jasper suddenly falls ill, and everyone rushes to his side. Julian is left alone, singing happy birthday to himself. Afterward, he packs his bags, leaves quietly, and dies in a wretched rented room. When they find out he's dead, everyone suddenly has a change of heart. They are consumed by guilt. The parents wail, the sister regrets, and the female lead's eyes turn red with tears. They beg for Julian to come back, but he never will. Finally, they learn their lesson and spend the rest of their lives being better people. The system explained this touchingly. Oh, isn't it moving? I had a million curses in my head. I wanted to scream. I calmed down and asked, so now, I am Julian. The system said, exactly. Your mission is to follow the plot and use the most tragic death possible to harvest regret points from the characters. Especially that birthday scene, the system added. You must act it out perfectly. Your eyes must be clear and tearful, your voice trembling and weak, showing the pathetic desperation of someone begging for love. After being humiliated, you must choke back your tears, celebrate your birthday alone in a storm, and pack your bags. Oh, and before you go, you must endure the pain to clean the whole house until it's spotless, arranging your things neatly so as not to bother the family. Then wait for death alone in that tiny room. I said, good God, that's too hard. I can't act that. The system asked, aren't you a Best Actor award winner? I said solemnly, I won that by going through the back door. I don't have a single ounce of acting talent in me. The system was shocked. Then what do we do? The plot must go on. If we don't get enough regret points, this entire world will collapse. I comforted the system. The ultimate goal is to make them regret it and collect regret points, right? System, yes. Me, then I don't necessarily have to follow the original script exactly, do I? System, well, technically no. I snapped my fingers. Easy then. Let's get started. I opened my eyes to see the fake young master, Jasper, lying in Bianca's arms, gasping for breath. I was standing in the hallway, silent and stoic. Julian, why did you push Jasper down the stairs? You are truly terrifying. The female lead, Bianca, held Jasper and condemned me. Above her head floated a long progress bar labeled regret points. Currently, it sat at 0. At this point in the plot, the original Julian had been home for 2 years and had sacrificed everything for her. Bianca wasn't moved at all, yet she happily enjoyed his devotion. Not only that, but whenever Jasper so much as whimpered, she would insult and berate Julian, betraying the male lead for this long without a single ounce of regret. This might actually be fun. Don't blame Julian. He only gave me a tiny push. I didn't think I'd be this badly hurt. Jasper stammered, his face pale as he furrowed his brows in agony, looking as if he were about to faint. Bianca immediately panicked, screaming Jasper's name as if he were at death's door. I watched the performance with an expressionless face for a moment, then pulled out my phone and dialed 911. Hello, police. I'm at Skyview Manor, Villa number 2. There's been an attempted murder. The culprit pushed the victim down the stairs. He's gravely injured and about to die. Please get to the scene immediately. Hearing my voice, Jasper's body went stiff and his moaning vanished instantly. Bianca didn't notice a thing. Still in a frantic state, she prepared to take him to the hospital. I made another call. Hello, paramedics? Skyview Manor, Villa number 2. Someone fell down the stairs and is mortally wounded. He's dying. Please hurry. Jasper scrambled to get up. No need to call the police. No need for an ambulance. I'm fine. I stepped down and pressed firmly on his shoulder. No, you're not fine. I really am fine. I held him down securely and turned to the furious Bianca. What are you just standing there for? Jasper fell down the stairs. He must lie perfectly still on the ground immediately, or the injury will get worse. Bianca dithered for a second, then blurted out, right? Jasper, you must stay still. She quickly laid Jasper back down on the floor. Left with no choice, he had to lie there. I dashed into the kitchen, grabbed a heap of ice packs, and piled them all over Jasper's body. Jasper shrieked, "What are you doing?" I shouted back, "Don't be afraid. Using ice packs can slow down the internal bleeding." Then I took a rock-hard ice pack and pressed it with all my might against his face and neck. Jasper let out a blood-curdling scream like a pig being slaughtered. Bianca flew into a rage and shoved me hard. Get away from him. I was caught off guard and shoved to the floor. My elbow slammed against the tiles, and a sharp pain shot up my entire arm. Damn it, this bitch actually dared to lay a hand on me. Without a second thought, I lunged forward. Slap, slap, slap. I delivered a rapid-fire succession of strikes to Bianca's defenseless face, sending her head spinning like a top. The system shrieked in my head. What are you doing? How dare you hit the female lead? She hit me first. This is legitimate self-defense. I snapped back internally. I grabbed the dazed Bianca by the collar and continued the onslaught. Slap, slap, slap. Take that for hitting me. Take that. Die, die, die. Bianca finally snapped out of her stupor and began screaming obscenities. Julie and I slap. You dare hit, slap. Stop it right. I just kept going. Slap, slap, slap. You think you can touch me? Do you? Take that. It was a form of brutal brainwashing, pairing the word take with a stinging blow to form a powerful psychological anchor, making Bianca understand that hitting me equals immediate pain. She finally tried to fight back, grabbing my wrists. I used to be a martial artist, but unfortunately, I had just transmigrated and this body hadn't adapted yet. When Bianca successfully resisted, she slapped me back with all her might. You piece of trash. You actually try to fight me? You dare to hit me? I let out a roar, grabbed her fingers, and used every ounce of my strength to bend them backward. Ay. Bianca let out an earth-shattering scream of agony. Stop. Make it stop. I stayed resolute, continuing to bend her fingers back without letting go. If I didn't make her feel absolute, soul-crushing pain, she would never feel regret. Bianca wouldn't stop cursing me. The more she cursed, the harder I bent, until eventually she couldn't even find the breath to scream anymore. Jasper, still lying on the floor, watched this scene unfold, hesitating over whether he should get up and help. But if he helped, it would ruin his critically injured act. So he stayed put, motionless. He had already dismissed all the servants before framing me, intending to make sure I had no way to defend myself. Now, with no one else in the room, there was no one to save Bianca. She was isolated, helpless, and her face was contorted in agony. At that moment, the progress bar above her head suddenly ticked upward. Regret points. 1. She wailed in despair. Fine. Fine. It's all my fault. Julian, please, just let go of my hand. Only then did I release her. The system had been screaming for a while now. I sighed. Quiet down. What are you yelling for? Is there a problem with what I did? System. You've completely destroyed the plot. I replied, Isn't the ultimate goal regret? You tell me, does she feel regret or not? The system checked Bianca's progress bar and paused to contemplate. Well, I suppose that counts. Julian, you dare. Bianca was screaming at the top of her lungs when the police sirens wailed outside. The police cars arrived with a loud, arrogant blare, pulling straight up to Villa number 2, alarming the entire neighborhood. The world is never short of busybodies. Neighbors and passers-by swarmed the front of the villa to watch. The servants from outside rushed in, anxiously reporting to Bianca. She was forced to pull her hand back, her expression grim. The police burst into the house. Where are the victim and the perpetrator? Right here. Bianca pointed at me in fury. Julian pushed Jasper down the stairs and seriously injured him. But when she actually looked at me, she froze. Because I was already lying flat on the floor, brow furrowed, face pale, groaning. "It hurts. Help me. It hurts so much." The officer immediately asked, "Sir, what happened to you?" I tremblingly raised a finger and pointed at Bianca. "She hit me. It was her." The officer's gaze instantly turned stern. Bianca was horrified and scrambled to explain. "No, he was the one hitting me. I didn't touch him." At this point, Jasper realized the situation was spiraling. He spoke up quickly. "I can testify." Julian wouldn't stop slapping Bianca. She was being beaten repeatedly. I bit my lip, my whole body shaking as if a massive green hat, the symbol of being cheated on, had just been forced onto my head. Bianca is my fiancée, yet these two are sneaking around behind my back, and I caught them. I let out a look of profound sorrow, pausing at just the right suggestive moment before continuing. "Officers, Jasper and Bianca are accomplices. You can't believe a word he says." The police were a bit confused. "We received a report about someone falling. That's why we're here. The caller said someone pushed him, so there is definitely a culprit in this house. Therefore, we will start with the fall. We can discuss who slapped whom between you and Bianca afterward." Bianca immediately pointed at me. "He pushed Jasper down the stairs." I said tremulously, "It wasn't me. Officers, I was the one who called you." Jasper rolled down the stairs and was at death's door, claiming someone pushed him. I knew there must be a killer in the house, so I called for help. But they both think I did it, and they started beating me. The officer straightened his expression. "Is there any surveillance footage?" Bianca dithered, and Jasper's body stiffened slightly. At that moment, Annie Wong, the housekeeper, stepped out from the side and said, "Officers, for security purposes, this villa is equipped with many surveillance cameras." The police went to check the cameras. I chuckled to myself. The police really are top-notch. They went straight to the heart of the matter the second they arrived. When I was reading the original novel, I was so confused about why the male lead let himself be framed like that. In a villa this massive, how could there possibly be no surveillance? Any normal wealthy family would have it installed. But in the novel, it was as if everyone suffered from collective amnesia. No one ever mentioned the cameras. They just endlessly berated and blamed the male lead while he just took it all silently. The 30 years east, 30 years west trope and the forced misery of the plot made me want to roll my eyes into the back of my head. Fortunately, the other people in this world are actually sane. Annie Wong had the cameras installed, and the police were going to verify them. Seeing the officers enter the security room, Bianca shot me a malicious look, a face that screamed, "You're dead, you piece of trash." I just smirked back at her. Jasper's face, on the other hand, turned incredibly pale, and this time it was real. After all, he was about to be exposed. After a moment of silence in the room, the ambulance arrived. The doctors and nurses carried a stretcher inside. Taking in the chaotic scene, they paused for a second. "Where is the victim?" the doctor asked. Jasper immediately let out 2 weak coughs, signaling that he was the one. I also covered my mouth and coughed. If it's acting we're doing, I'm a professional. The doctor hurriedly performed a preliminary check on both me and Jasper. After a simple emergency exam, the doctor spoke up. "For now, neither of them has any major issues. However, as a precaution, they need to go to the hospital for a more thorough examination." Bianca breathed a sigh of relief and comforted Jasper. "It's okay, thank goodness." Jasper nodded uneasily. I acted surprised. "Oh, so Jasper is actually fine?" He was acting so frail just now. I thought he was at death's door. Jasper bit his lip, fuming. "What nonsense are you talking about?" Bianca immediately chimed in, looking at me like I was a piece of garbage causing a scene for no reason. "We won't know the specifics until we get to the hospital." "What are you trying to imply?" "You little bitch, if I don't finish you off, my name isn't Julian." Since neither of us is in critical condition, I suggested, why don't we wait for the police to finish checking the footage before we leave? Bianca exploded in rage. "Julian, you are truly heartless. Do you want Jasper to die from the pain?" Jasper immediately let out 2 groans and tugged at Bianca's sleeve. "Bianca, it hurts so much. Let's go to the hospital, please." He was desperate to leave. After all, once the police walked out of that room after seeing the footage, it would be a public execution for him. I wasn't about to let him have his way. I ducked behind an officer. "Officer, Bianca is trying to hit me again." "Julian, who is trying to hit you?" Stop slandering me, Bianca barked. Jasper tried to pull Bianca away, urging her to leave, but she was too far gone in her anger to back down. I grit my teeth and cried out, Bianca, you're terrifying. The police are right here, and you're screaming at me? I'm your fiancé. When Bianca heard this, her face turned purple with rage. She snapped, if you had a shred of decency and weren't so morally bankrupt, I wouldn't have to scream at you. I questioned her with reddened eyes. What part of me lacks decency? How am I morally bankrupt? You're clearly my fiancé, yet you're sneaking around with Jasper. You're the one who lacks decency. You're the one who's morally bankrupt. This string of words completely triggered her. Bianca erupted in a fury, shouting, there you go with that tone again. You uncultured country bumpkin. You have no sense of etiquette. You bully Jasper at every turn. You're malicious, and you try to snatch everything for yourself. In the original novel, Bianca and the family had hurled these insults countless times. Caught in the heat of the moment, she spat them out without a second thought. Because she was so used to saying them, she didn't feel like anything was wrong. She didn't notice that the expressions of everyone around her had shifted. I lower my head. See, everyone, this is how she usually treats me. The group's gaze toward Bianca had become quite ugly. She finally realized her mistake and scrambled to justify herself. Everything I said is the truth. Unfortunately, no one was listening to her. They only saw me, the injured party, while she, the aggressor, was brazenly criticizing the victim. How cruel, someone whispered. After a tense standoff, the officer who checked the cameras returned. He stated flatly, the matter has been cleared up. Jasper intentionally threw himself down the stairs to frame Julian. The video and audio are both very clear. What? That's impossible. Jasper would never do such a thing. Bianca shook her head in denial, unable to accept it. Even in the face of the truth, you still want to argue? The officer's gaze was ice cold. Unwilling to give up, Bianca went to view the footage herself. A moment later, she returned looking dazed, staring at Jasper in shock. Why? Why would you do such a thing? Jasper couldn't come up with an explanation. Suddenly, he clutched his stomach. It hurts so much. Bianca didn't have time to press further and hurriedly told the doctors to take him to the hospital. I spoke up. Bianca, the truth is right in front of you. Earlier, you shielded Jasper while hitting and cursing me. Does your conscience not hurt at all? Bianca's body went rigid. She didn't answer. She helped lift Jasper onto the stretcher. The regret progress bar above her head ticked up slightly. The number changed to 7. Damn, only 7? I scoffed. I spoke to the system in my head. See that? She knows she wronged me, but it only increased her regret points by 2. I don't believe that if I just went off and died, her regret would suddenly jump to 100. If I followed your plan for the mission, I'd likely fail to collect enough points. The system was silent for a moment before replying. You won't know unless you try. I was too lazy to argue with the system. I grabbed my arm and groaned. It hurts. Bianca hit me so hard. Bianca turned her head, fuming. Who hit you? You clearly hit me first. You're slandering me. The officer interjected. Ms. White, the surveillance footage shows that Julian used ice packs to assist Jasper with his injuries. You were the one who pushed Julian down first. Julian's counterattack then escalated into a mutual physical altercation. Bianca was stunned. Only then did she remember that she had initiated the physical contact by pushing me. As if I had finally found my long-lost savior, I looked at the police and said, Officer, I want to press charges against Bianca for assault. She belongs in jail. With the facts laid bare, the police stepped forward and informed her that she would be taken into custody. Bianca had completely failed to anticipate this turn of events. She stood there, frozen. The system was also catatonic. You're sending the female lead to jail, I said calmly. What else was I supposed to do? Just let her hit me? If I don't send her to jail, will she ever truly regret it? The moment I finished speaking, the regret progress bar above Bianca's head flickered and surged upward. Regret points, 20. System. Holy, it's increasing so fast. I scoffed. See? When she realized she had wronged me, it only went up by 2 points. But the second I threatened her with prison, it jumped to 20. The system went quiet. As I lay in the ambulance, I continued our mental conversation. System, Do you know why prisons and punishments exist in this world? System, why? Me. Because human nature is to bully the weak and fear the strong. Most people who do bad things will never regret them unless they are punished. You see embezzlers and murderers weeping with regret in court. Do you think they're truly repentant? No. They're just terrified of the sentence and the consequences they have to face. If they committed the crime and didn't get caught, they wouldn't feel a shred of regret. The system pondered this. Me. In these crematorium novels, the male lead dies, and suddenly the female lead and the family lose the will to live out of regret. It's completely unscientific. If someone doesn't love you, why would they suffer over your death? Only those who love you suffer. The problem is, if someone truly loves you, how could they have the heart to hurt you while you're alive? Therefore, those who hurt you do not love you. Using your death to make them regret is an impossibility. I continued, they might feel a twinge of guilt for a day or two, but they'll forget you soon enough. Many people try to use death as a way to punish others. It's a mistake. The targets might shed a few tears, but they'll move on. The only ones truly in pain are those who genuinely loved you. That's why we have laws, because our ancestors realized long ago that only punishment brings true regret. If you expect me to suffer in silence and die just to collect points, I'll likely fail the mission. I went on a verbal rampage against the system until it finally spoke up. System, you actually make a lot of sense. But I still believe that if the male lead dies, they will definitely regret it. Why don't we make a bet? Me on what? System, on your death. Let's see if they regret it when you're gone. Me, fine. If I win, you owe me 10 years of additional life expectancy. If you win, I'll pay you 100,000 accumulated points. 100,000 points can help you return to the real world and convert into $100 million. My eyes lit up. Deal. It's a promise. It's a promise. Once the bet with the system was finalized, I went to the hospital for a comprehensive checkup. Jasper had sustained only minor abrasions. Basically, there was nothing wrong with him. However, my results showed a minor bone fracture in my arm. It shouldn't be broken, right? I asked, puzzled. The system replied, the day before yesterday, the male lead's older sister pushed you. You fell against the stairs and broke it then. The original Julian endured it in silence, so it was only discovered today during the hospital exam. Ah, I see, I grunted. Well, that's fine. Regardless of who actually did it, we'll handle it the same way we handle Bianca. This mess has to be pinned on that woman's head. The medical results were in. I had a fracture, while Jasper only had scrapes. The police investigation concluded. Jasper had faked his fall to frame me. I, being magnanimous, had used ice packs to help soothe his injuries. Bianca, however, assumed I was trying to harm him and, in a fit of rage, initiated the assault. I fought back, resulting in a mutual physical altercation where she pushed me to the ground, ultimately causing my fracture. And so I sued Bianca. I wanted her in prison because I refused to settle or forgive. Bianca was placed under criminal detention and actually sent to a holding cell. She was completely shell-shocked. The regret progress bar above her head jumped to 30. The White family's reputation in the country was massive. News of their eldest daughter's arrest traveled fast. Reporters swarmed the scene. Since many bystanders had witnessed the commotion, public opinion was firmly on my side. The White heiress cheats on and beats her fiancé. The news spread like wildfire. Bianca was disgraced, her dignity dragged through the mud. The system noted, her regret progress bar has risen to 50. I burst out laughing. It seemed this girl was incredibly vain. Being exposed by the media caused more regret than actually assaulting and framing me. Since she cared so much about her face, I wasn't going to miss this chance to harvest more points. The police issued an official statement on the case, which quickly went viral. The gossip was juicy. The person Bianca had fought was her own fiancé, Julian. Driven by this massive scandal, countless reporters rushed to the hospital to interview me. Facing the cameras, I used the most venomous words possible to paint her as an adulteress, recounting the entire ordeal. The hashtag Bianca Christed for fiancé assault hit the trending searches. A woman engaging in a physical brawl with her fiancé over another man. Even for a commoner, that would be a dramatic story. For someone as famous as Bianca, it was explosive. Legions of netizens swarmed Jasper and Bianca's social media accounts, mocking and cursing them as a scumbag and a tramp. When Bianca caught wind of this, her regret points ticked up to 60. The system stared at me, dumbfounded. "My God, host, you're incredible." "This is just the beginning," I replied. "The real show is about to start." "System, what real show?" "Me. Did you forget how the male lead died in the original script?" "System, oh, cancer." "Me exactly. I'm already in the hospital. It wouldn't make sense not to do a full body checkup, right?" Actually, when the ambulance first brought me in, the doctor noticed something off and asked if I wanted further testing. Of course, I said yes. This cancer condition is a gold mine, and I'm going to milk it for everything it's worth. I'll make those pieces of trash regret ever being born. "System, the tests are done. Let our bet officially begin." The system said, "Fine. I still think I'll win." I just smirked and said nothing. The attending physician walked into my room with a heavy expression, handed me a report, and said, "Julian, your results are back." He paused, his tone shifting to one of deep sympathy. "I'm very sorry to inform you that the results are not good. It's a brain tumor." I looked up, my face perfectly displaying 30% shock, 30% agony, 30% hope, and 10% desolation. "Doctor, can it be cured?" The doctor sighed softly and spoke honestly. "The tumor is already very large, compressing your nerves and blood vessels. Surgery is almost impossible. In other words, I have about 2 months left to live." 2 months, I echoed, as if finally understanding. I took the report, lowered my head to look at it for a moment, and thanked the doctor. Everyone in the room looked at me with eyes full of pity. As soon as the doctor left, I picked up my phone and went back to scrolling through the gossip news, laughing hysterically at the funny parts. A moment later, the door slammed open with a loud bang, and 3 people stormed in aggressively. These 3 were the male lead's father, mother, and older sister. Above each of their heads was a regret progress bar. Currently, all were at 0. Julian had been home for 2 years, enduring endless humiliation while sacrificing everything for them. Yet even after everything that happened today, they felt not a shred of regret. The 3 of them looked grim, their eyes burning with fury, as if I were the one who had committed an unspeakable crime. "Dad, Mom, Sis," I greeted them, my face pale and my breath weak. "Cut out. Stop pretending," my sister snorted coldly. "Bianca only gave you a tiny push, and suddenly you have a fracture? Who are you putting this act on for?" My parents chimed in. "Explain yourself. Why did you sue Bianca and have her criminally detained? You've offended the White family. Did you give no thought to our family's reputation or the business? And Jasper, you made such a scene. Did you even stop to think how he's supposed to show his face after this?" They bombarded me with accusations, demanding I drop the charges and release Bianca immediately. Not a single one of them asked how I was feeling. I was utterly speechless. It's for these bottom feeders that the system wanted me to be a sacrificial lamb, to slave away and die just to make them feel bad? "In your dreams," I said with reddened eyes. "Jasper set me up first. Why am I the one being blamed?" My father barked back. "Jasper said he only acted out a momentary lapse in judgment because you keep bullying him. So you just forgive him instantly?" I asked. "You believe every word he says?" My mother added, "Jasper is simple and kind-hearted. He wouldn't lie." I shot back, "He wouldn't lie? Then was it or was it not him who rolled down the stairs to frame me? Was it or was it not him who lied and said I pushed him? Was it or was it not him who faked being critically injured?" The 3 of them were speechless for a moment. Then my father roared in anger. "Everyone makes mistakes. He only messed up once. Can't you just forgive him?" "It's not just once," I countered. "He frames me constantly. One minute he says I cursed at him. The next he says I stole his things. And every single time, you 2 side with him without even thinking." "Nonsense. You're still slandering Jasper." My sister was fuming, her voice cold as ice. I glared at her. This was the very woman who had caused my fracture, and now she had the nerve to bark in my face. I took a secret breath. For the sake of the bet, I had to endure. "Fine," I said. "Let's not talk about the past. Since there's no evidence for those times, we can't prove who was right or wrong. Let's talk about right now. The police have uncovered the truth. Why are you still condemning me?" My father replied, "Family scandals shouldn't be aired in public. You made a scene and ruined the family's reputation. That is your fault. My mother added, Bianca is your fiancée. Suing her and having her detained is disgraceful. Hurry up and sign the settlement papers so she could be released. I questioned her. Oh, so now you admit she's my fiancée? Isn't she actually Jasper's fiancée? They were speechless again. My sister lost her patience, lunged forward, and grabbed me by the collar. That's enough. Write the settlement and get Bianca out now. And you can tell the media that you provoked Jasper first, and he was just defending himself. The family in this crematorium novel are absolute brain-dead idiots. I've officially seen it for myself. I swore in my heart that I wouldn't let these three off the hook, especially this sister of mine. She's getting special treatment. The system whispered, quick, agree to it. If you sign the settlement, release Bianca, and save Jasper's reputation, they'll finally see your kindness. Once you reveal the brain tumor report, their regret points will definitely hit 100. I thought for a moment and said, fine, I'll do as you say. Let's see who wins our bet in the end. I'm definitely going to win, the system replied confidently. Under the pressure of my family, I borrowed a pen and paper and scribbled out the settlement agreement. The expressions on their faces finally softened. It seemed they still had a tiny sliver of conscience. They threw out a few parting words and hurried to leave. Before they stepped out, I asked, I've done exactly what you asked. You know, Jasper wronged me, yet you just stood there screaming at me with such hostility. Don't you feel even a little bit of regret? Their footsteps faltered. The regret progress bars above their heads simultaneously ticked up by 1 point. They regret it. They actually feel regret. The system shouted excitedly. I told you so. They'll definitely regret it, the system chirped. I scoffed. A single point. Wow, color me impressed. The system choked for a second before muttering, just keep trying. Not long after, Bianca was released from the police station. The whole group swarmed Jasper's hospital room, weeping and hugging each other, completely forgetting that I was in the same building. My father's secretary brought a team of reporters to my room, instructing me to reveal the truth behind the incident. The system panicked. Quick, do exactly what they say. Show them how incredibly enduring and kind you are. When they find out you have a brain tumor, their regret points will hit 100 for sure. Fine, I said. For the sake of the bet, I faced the cameras and performed a public confession according to my family's script. I told the reporters that I was actually jealous of Jasper for stealing my fiancée, and that I had constantly bullied and provoked him. I claimed his attempt to frame me was just a momentary impulse driven by my harassment. Shortly after the interview ended, a video was released online featuring my apology alongside interviews with my family. My biological parents and sister were all on camera protecting Jasper. In our home, Julian always saw Jasper as a rival and went out of his way to cause trouble for him. He stole his room, his belongings, and subjected him to constant verbal abuse. We've advised him many times, but Julian is just too envious. He was determined to drive Jasper away. The internet exploded. Netizens were in an uproar. I knew there was more to the story. This high society drama is so messy. If only one person was talking trash about Julian, I'd suspect slander. But his entire family is saying the same thing? It's probably the truth. If Jasper used extreme measures to frame him, or if Bianca lashed out in a rage, it's understandable. If Julian hadn't been such a jerk, none of this would have happened. It's all his fault. The video successfully whitewashed Jasper and Bianca, while I became the target of endless curses and death threats. While the outside world was screaming for my head, I sat in my hospital bed calmly eating fruit. Any increase in regret points? I asked the system. The system stammered, no. See, I pointed out, even when I sign a settlement, ruin my own reputation, and help them out, they don't feel a lick of regret for treating me like dirt. The system was silent for a moment before stubbornly insisting, they don't know you're dying yet. If they see your report, they'll regret it. Fine, I said. Let's show them the report. 2 days later, after they finished comforting Jasper over his psychological trauma, they finally came to my room to take me home. It was only because Jasper pleaded with us to come that we're even here. You should be grateful to him. My mother held Jasper's hand, turning to me with a stern expression as if Jasper had just granted me a magnificent favor. I remained expressionless, busy muttering to the system in my head and ignoring Jasper for a moment. He remained silent. Within seconds, Jasper's eyes reddened. He lowered his head and wiped away a stray tear, looking choked up. "Julian, do you still refuse to forgive me?" My sister flared up. "Julian, Jasper already apologized to you. What more do you want?" Bianca also furrowed her brows in disapproval. "Julian, it's in the past. Don't be so petty." My parents chimed in about family harmony, telling me to stop causing unnecessary trouble. I was cold laughing internally. So if he apologizes, I must accept it. And if I don't, I'm the villain? I wanted nothing more than to kick them all. Instead, I forced a desolate expression onto my face. Once they finished their tirade, I spoke softly. "I'm sorry. My reactions are a bit slow lately." I acted as if I were in a daze, opening the bedside drawer to pull out a report. "I have a brain tumor. It's pressing on my nerves, so my response time is a little delayed. I hope everyone can understand." I gave Jasper a tragic smile. "Jasper, I forgave you a long time ago. Please don't misunderstand." Everyone froze. My mother was the first to lung forward, snatching the report. As she read the results, her face went pale with horror. "How can this be?" The others crowded around. Seeing the report, their reactions varied. Bianca was in disbelief. "Julian, a brain tumor? How? You're so young." Jasper stammered. "Julian, is this real?" My sister remained skeptical. "It's not a forgery, is it?" She narrowed her eyes, scrutinizing me with doubt. I was so angry I almost laughed. These people actually suspected a fake? My fists were clenched tight. I endured it and said, "You are perfectly welcome to go ask the doctor." The family, half doubting, went to find the attending physician. "Is Julian really suffering from a brain tumor? Is this report real, or is it a fake?" The doctor was furious. "Who would joke about something like this? Your son has cancer, and your first reaction is suspicion? Do you even deserve to be called parents?" This scolding left them looking absolutely disgraced. I gave the doctor a silent thumbs up. Once they confirmed I wasn't lying, they finally took it seriously, frantically asking about my condition. The answer they received was that I was beyond saving, with only 2 months left to live. Immediately, a wave of profound sorrow washed over them. The regret bars above their heads simultaneously surged, all of them jumping to 90. The system was overjoyed, shouting, "See? They regret it. I knew it. They'll all be devastated by your death." I found it incredibly bizarre. No matter how I looked at it, the logic didn't hold up. It was as if the world consciousness was forcibly overriding their brains to make them feel regret. The system insisted, regardless, they regret it now. "I've won." "Not yet," I replied. "There's still 10 points left to hit 100. It'll get there soon," the system said confidently. After that, the family processed my discharge and brought me home. Knowing I didn't have much time left, they became excessively attentive, checking on me, fussing over my care, and hovering around me daily while completely neglecting Jasper. Consumed by resentment, Jasper tried to pull his old tricks again, attempting to frame me with a petty scheme. This time, however, my family and Bianca had collectively evolved from being legally blind to possessing true sight. Without me having to say a word, they automatically spotted the flaws in his story and berated Jasper. I was stunned. You have to understand, Julian had been home for 2 years, and Jasper's framing tactics were never high level. Yet everyone had acted like blind fools, cursing the male lead while protecting the imposter. The moment the male lead gets cancer, these people are suddenly cured of their deafness and blindness. They transform from idiots into geniuses. Apparently, a terminal diagnosis is a miracle cure for stupidity and ignorance. Look at that. The male lead slaves away for the family, gives everything, and finally dies a tragic death. Such a plot is so deeply touching. The system's sob moved to tears. It makes these people wake up and become better versions of themselves. It felt victory was within its grasp. Is that so? I wasn't convinced, but the progress bars on those people didn't lie. I began to doubt my own judgment. No matter how I analyzed it, I felt I was right, yet the reality was unfolding in the most logically collapsed way possible. 3 days passed. Their regret points didn't budge an inch. They stayed at 90, stagnant. I pondered, why isn't the progress bar moving? The system started to get anxious. Perhaps because you haven't died yet. That's why their regret hasn't peaked. Then let's keep watching, I said. One day passed, then two, then three. Their regret points remained unchanged, as if 90 was the hard limit, a wall they could not climb. The system refused to give up, insisting the timing wasn't right, and that the points would surge to 100 only when I was on my literal deathbed. The terms of our bet were whether the regret points would reach 100 once they knew the male lead was dying, not after he actually died. Therefore, as of right now, neither of us had won. I didn't argue. I just kept observing. That day, I felt unwell and asked my sister to pour me a glass of water. She furrowed her brows as she stood up to do it. Her expression was calm as she said, "Here, drink." But I caught this subtle, fleeting shift in her features. I suddenly understood. She was starting to lose her patience with me. "Thank you, sis," I said. I intentionally let my hand tremble, taking a long time to finally grasp the glass from her hand. My sister was still smiling, but the progress bar above her head began to regress rapidly. The regret points dropped from 90 down to 60. Just because I was a little slow in taking the glass, her regret plummeted that much. The system shrieked, "What is happening? Why is the bar going backward? This isn't scientific." "She's lost her patience," I replied internally. When they first found out I was dying, they were indeed regretful and guilty. They felt they should make it up to me. But that guilt is fragile and shallow. It cannot withstand the test of time, especially when they have to expend actual energy and time to care for me. Day after day, no matter how much guilt they feel, it will vanish in a thin air. As the saying goes, there are no filial children at the bedside of a long-term invalid. Even if the world consciousness tries to force them into a state of extreme regret, the mechanics of this world must still follow basic logic. No matter how much they regret, they will eventually return to their original orbit. Hate is hate. They aren't going to suddenly fall in love with a male lead just because he has cancer. Realizing this, I knew I had practically won the bet. I decided to seal my victory. I intentionally spilled the glass. The hot water splashed all over my sister's clean silk blouse. She let out a piercing scream and cursed. "What the hell are you doing? Are you crazy?" This was her true attitude toward the male lead, the one she had never bothered to hide before. Since the cancer diagnosis, she had been suppressing it. Now, with her patience exhausted, she relapsed. After the outburst, she realized her tone was wrong and tried to force a smile. It's fine, Julian. I'll just go change." She was still trying to maintain a peaceful facade for the patient, but the progress bar above her head went tick, tick, tick all the way back. From 60, it dropped to 0. Pouring a glass of water and accidentally getting her clothes wet, such a trivial incident caused her regret to drop from 90 to 0. It showed just how superficial that regret really was. The system was in shock. "Why is it like this?" I smiled. "I told you, pieces of trash will never truly feel regret." I went upstairs and overheard my sister on the phone in the hallway. "Why do I have to be the one to take care of him? It's not like I gave him the brain tumor. What does his illness have to do with me? Why do I have to yield to his every whim? It's annoying as hell. If someone wants to take care of him, let them do it." I waited for her to finish the call before stepping out of the shadows and returning to my room. The system was dazed. Why? I said nothing. The facts spoke louder than words. There was no need to argue. Over the next few days, I intentionally or unintentionally made them work for me. I even demanded that Bianca stay by my side. After being ordered around a few times, their regret points regressed even further. My parents' points dropped to 50, and Bianca's fell to 60. The system muttered, "At least Bianca still has a bit of conscience." I laughed. Did you forget where her 60 points came from? I had to send her to jail to get those. The system was speechless. I gave a soft chuckle. "It's certain now. You've lost this bet," I said. "Your way of collecting regret points is a total failure. Now it's time to do it my way." The system no longer babbled in my head. Having lost the bet, it tearfully handed over the 100,000 accumulated points. I accepted them happily, waiting for the day I'd return to the real world and exchange them for $100 million. With the system's restrictions gone, I immediately drafted a long-form article. I recounted the entire history of the real versus fake young master incident and how the family had protected the imposter while bullying me. I even released audio recordings of the family threatening me. When the secretary had brought the reporters and told me to follow the script, I had been recording the whole time. These are the smoking guns. When a moment was right, I dropped everything online, catching everyone completely off guard. The internet exploded. Netizens demanded to know why the truth was suddenly coming out now. I posted a photo of my brain tumor report and replied, "Because I am dying, and I refuse to die with these grievances." I wrote, "Everyone was cursing me. I did nothing wrong, yet I was expected to take these sins to my grave. They committed crimes, yet lived in luxury. It isn't fair." The public was speechless. Human nature is to sympathize with the underdog. Knowing I was dying after enduring such humiliation set the internet on fire. Bianca and Jasper were dragged through the mud. They had used illegal means to whitewash their reputations, and now that the truth was out, the backlash was brutal. The reputations of both the White and Julian's family were shattered. One netizen commented, "Look at how practiced they are at making threats. They must have done this many times. Someone should investigate their companies." Exactly. Investigate them. The public was livid. Upon hearing the news, my parents and sister stormed back home. My father was purple with rage. "Julian, how could you go back on your word like this?" My mother was shaking with fury. "We wasted our time being patient with you and treating you well these past few days. Is this how you repay us?" My sister kicked a chair next to me with all her might, screaming, "You piece of trash! Why won't you just hurry up and die?" I watched them silently, witnessing the progress bars above my parents' heads drop from 50 straight to 0. See, I told the system. They claim to love me, but the moment their precious reputation is at stake, they show their true colors, even if I'm telling the truth. The system muttered, "Their regret points are back to 0. I lost, but you won't win either. Give me back my points." I smirked. "Don't be in such a hurry." I comforted the system. I walked up to the three of them and said, "You want to know why I did this? You should ask yourselves." The three of them were stunned. "What?" I continued. "Who was it that abused me, insulted me, ignored me, and favored Jasper? I sacrificed everything for you, and you never gave a damn. This is your retribution. If you had treated me even slightly better, maybe I would have taken these secrets to my grave. But because you were cruel to me first, I'm doing this now. You bastard." At that moment, the regret points above their heads jumped from 0 to 20. I noted to the system, "See, only when they realize that hurting me resulted in a wound to themselves do they begin to feel actual regret." The system remained unconvinced. "It's only 20. The grand finale is yet to come." I stood up and went back to my room. I began releasing the mountain of evidence I had painstakingly gathered. DNA tests, medical records, floor plans of our rooms showing the disparity, receipts for jewelry and bags given only to Jasper, and photos documenting my mistreatment. One by one, I leaked them. The internet was in a frenzy. The PR departments of both families issued statements claiming I was a liar. However, I kept dropping evidence bit by bit, hammering them until they had no words left to say. The internet was firmly on Julian's side. The Julian's family was revolting, and Bianca was just as disgusting. The DNA test results had been available for a long time, proving the family knew Julian was the biological son from start. Initially, they claimed he was just adopted to protect Jasper's status. They dragged their feet for so long before admitting Julian was the real heir, clearly favoring Jasper. Jasper enjoyed life as the eldest young master, while Julian had nothing. The marriage contract between the families was meant for the White daughter and the Julian's heir. Even after the rightful heir returned, those two kept sneaking around and even beat Julian up. Then they forced him to film a video claiming he was the jealous provocateur. Is this how human beings behave? Public opinion was a tidal wave of condemnation. Jasper and Bianca didn't even dare to step outside. My family was in shambles, trying every tactic from threats to bribery to get me to stop releasing evidence. I didn't care. Every time, I gave him the same answer. Who told you to bully me? If you knew it would end like this, why did you do it in the first place? As the family situations worsened, their regret points surged from 20 to 60. They were deeply, painfully regretful. The system stared at the data, speechless. I went back to the hospital for a checkup and learned I had less than half a month to live. Leaving the hospital, I steeled my resolve. I had to harvest these points as soon as possible. If I died before they hit 100, my mission would fail, and I would lose everything. I originally died of exposure in a car accident before binding with the system. If I failed now, I'd remain a vegetable in the real world forever. Let's play big, I said. The system grew anxious. What are you planning to do? I smiled. Isn't my birthday coming up? It's time for the final act. Just like the novel described, I was at odds with the family, and no one cared about my birthday. Jasper suddenly had a stomach ache, and the whole family rushed to the hospital to pamper him, completely ignoring me. I ate the entire birthday cake alone, sang the song to myself, and quietly went to my room. At 2 a.m., I took a kitchen knife and walked in my sister's room. While they were at the hospital, I had casually slipped sleeping pills into the water filter in my sister's glass. She liked to sleep with her door unlocked, which made my job easy. I entered her room. She was fast asleep. I raised the knife, and with a swift, cold motion, I brought it down. F! My sister let out an earth-shattering scream. She was instantly awake, clutching her face and rolling in agony. Julian, what are you doing? Are you insane? I smiled. Yes, I'm quite insane. Who told you to hit me and curse me before? Now, I'm taking my revenge. Dear sister, do you regret it now? I moved the knife closer to her. She looked at me with absolute, paralyzing terror. The progress bar above her head shot from 60 straight to 100. A mechanical voice rang in my head. Sister's mission. Success. Commencing collection of regret points. Finally, success. I breathed a sigh of relief. I dropped the knife. My sister continued to scream, spewing the most venomous insults at me. Having already collected her regret points, I paid her no mind and turned to leave. Her agonizing wails were so piercing that everyone remaining in the villa was jolted awake. As I stepped out, my parents and Jasper had just reached the door. Julian, what have you done? They saw the knife in my hand and were paralyzed with fear. They rushed into the room, discovering my sister's face slashed beyond recognition. The sight was horrific. Julian, how dare you do this to your own sister? My father grabbed a nearby chair, posturing to strike me. I quickly darted behind a terrified Jasper, pressing the knife against his throat. Take one more step, and he's dead. My father froze. My mother, having checked on my sister and hearing the commotion behind her, let out a gut-wrenching shriek. Julian, why? Why would you do this? I laughed coldly. Because you abused me, insulted me, ignored me, and favored Jasper. Since I'm dying anyway, I figure I should take my revenge before I go. Tell me, dear parents, who will marry my sister now that she looks like that? I'll be dead soon, and Jasper is just a bastard with no blood relation to you. In the end, no matter how much money you make, it will all belong to outsiders. How does it feel to know your lineage ends here? I knew exactly what they cared about most, and I poked that wound intentionally. My mother clutched her head as the regret bar above her surged. My father's points also climbed, but both stopped around 90. Still only 90? I narrowed my eyes and slashed the knife across Jasper's face. He shrieked in pain. My mother screamed his name, her heart breaking as she begged me to spare him. This is retribution. I want you to regret everything, I said. My mother's regret points quickly hit 100. The mechanical voice rang out. Mother's mission, success. I looked at my father. His bar ticked up by 5 points and then stopped. 95. Haha, the man is truly heartless. I carved another deep gash into Jasper's face. My mother wailed and fainted on the spot. My father still didn't budge. It seemed he didn't even value Jasper that much after all. Bored with the spectacle, I threw Jasper aside, ran downstairs, and jumped into the car I had prepared. I sped out of the villa complex. Once I reached a secluded area, I sent the pre-prepared emails to the relevant authorities. Then, I held up my ID card and started recording a video. I am Julian, and I am officially reporting the Julian's family for tax evasion, bribery, and corruption. Since my father didn't care about his children, his empire was clearly the thing he valued most. I wanted to destroy it all and see if that finally made him regret mistreating me. Once the video hit the web, the internet went into a total meltdown. The real versus fake young master scandal was already trending. This new development was the final nail in the coffin. The Julian's family didn't even have time to react. The video of my report spread across the entire internet. With irrefutable evidence, my father's company was destined to collapse. The notification for my father's mission's success echoed in my mind. It seemed he had finally reached the peak of regret. Singing to myself, I drove to Bianca's villa and called her to come out. I'm not coming out, she growled. She likely knew about the disaster at the Julian house and wanted nothing to do with me. I threatened her, if you don't come out, I'll leak all the White family's tax evasion evidence online right now. There was a long silence before she hissed through gritted teeth. Where? I gave her a location, the rooftop of a high-rise building. On the rooftop, I strapped a camera to my chest, connected to a live stream room. System, what's a regret count? 80, the system replied. Only 80? This bitch won't shed a tear until she sees the coffin. Since her heart was that cold, I decided to go all out and finish the mission once and for all. Bianca was forced to show up. Having heard of my recent rampages, she was dressed in thick layers. I suspected she was wearing a bulletproof vest underneath. What do you want? She asked coldly, her eyes full of wariness and malice. I laughed. You're finally here. Why are you dressed like that? Am I that terrifying? Julian, give me the tax evidence now, she demanded. I asked her desolately, did you ever love me? She answered instantly, no, never. It's always been Jasper. Since you loved him so much, I said, why didn't you reject me back then? Why didn't you break the engagement? Maybe I would have given up then. Bianca was momentarily speechless. I asked again, do you regret treating me like this? Her lips remained tightly shut, and the bar above her head didn't budge. So, you don't regret it at all. I smirked and patted my pocket. The evidence is right here. If you're brave enough, come and take it. Seeing that I was unarmed, Bianca lunged at me. Give it to me. We struggled near the edge. As she pushed with all her might in her desperation, I took the opportunity to let myself fall over the railing of the skyscraper. Julian, Bianca shrieked in horror, rushing to the edge to grab me, but I was already gone. No, 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 she screamed. Why the horror? Because she had just become a murderer in front of a live audience. The progress bar above her head surged to 100. I smiled as I fell. System, if you must use death to punish trash, my way is the only way. I destroyed everything she owned and made her a murderer in the eyes of the public. She'll never hold her head up again. In the novels, the male lead dies and everyone regrets it quietly. But look at me. I'm dying, and I've ensured their regret is a life sentence. The system sighed. You won. A mechanical voice announced, Fiancé mission complete. Host has successfully fulfilled all missions. Calculating points. Total points earned, 40,000. Per hour agreement, 30,000 points have been deducted to restore your health. You will now wake up in the real world. Remaining balance, 110,000 points. 100,000 points exchanged for 100 million renminbi. Final balance, 10,000 points. Do you wish to use them in the shop? No need. Save them for later, I replied. The Julian and White families were investigated for tax evasion and corruption. They collapsed completely. Their careers were destroyed, and they were buried in debt. My mother went from a wealthy socialite to a penniless debtor. My sister went from a rich heiress to a scarred outcast. Bianca was sentenced to 15 years in prison for murder and financial crimes. As the White family fell, a disfigured Jasper tried to flee with the last of the family's cash, but he was kidnapped and sold across the border to Myanmar, never to be heard from again. They never stopped regretting. If only we hadn't been so biased. If only we hadn't brought Julian back. If only we had treated him well once he returned. If only we could start over. They all learned their lesson, becoming better versions of themselves through a lifetime of agonizing regret. The story ends here. Thank you for listening.